Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, the 9th of October. We continue our little story in my sharing today about Paul being imprisoned by Governor Felix and the plot by the Jews, especially the Jewish authorities, to not only arrest Paul, but to actually kill him in a planned ambush. In the story today, we read how Felix, who is acquainted with the Christian way, in those days it was simply referred to as the way. Felix is interested in this. He's reasonably well acquainted with the way, the Christian lifestyle, but he does an interesting thing. He repeatedly invites Paul to come and talk to him and to his wife. And the wife's name is Drusilla, and she was a Jewish lady. And we'll tell you a little bit more of the backstory shortly. And eventually, Felix is recalled back to Rome in about 69 to 59 to 60 AD. He is called back to Rome, and a new man comes in, a man called Festus, and we meet Festus in the readings today, the latter part of Acts chapter 24, and picking up the first 12 verses of Acts 25. And Paul is again brought before Festus, who convenes a proper official court, and in the end of that, Paul appeals to Caesar. He has the right to appeal to Caesar, and that begins Paul's last officially recorded missionary journey to Rome. But that'll be a story for another day. Just some of the background of what's happening, and then try and reference this to our own lives. I mentioned that Felix is married to a Jewess by the name of Drusilla. Drusilla is a youngish lady. She was married at the age of 15 to King Azizus of a country called Emesa. She was married off at 15. She was the daughter of King Agrippa I, who was one of the kings that oversaw Israel. And not a very well-liked king, but a very powerful person. So this daughter of 15 is married to King Azizus, and after 1 year of marriage, she runs away and she marries Felix. So that immediately begins, hopefully, to raise something of a red flag. When she marries Felix, she is his third wife. I'm not saying that Felix had all three at the same time, but he had managed to work through wife number one, wife number two, and now he marries wife number three, Drusilla. And this is possibly why he knows so much about the way, because Drusilla, as a Jewess, would know also a fair bit about this new, what for many was a cult that was starting in Judaism, what we now know as Christianity. It's not a cult, of course. But the other reason why Felix is wanting to speak to Paul so frequently is that Felix, as much as he was a wise ruler and achieved a lot, had another side to him, a dark side. Felix loved bribes, and many of the decisions he made were based on the extent of his friendship with the person and the amount of money that changed hands. And we think about our own current situation in South Africa, where so many politicians think that making bribes, taking bribes, is just the way that business is done. This, for Felix, catches up to him, as it has and is catching up to the politicians in South Africa at this very moment. Felix is recalled to Rome about 59-60 because he is now himself is arrested, having to account for the mismanagement and incompetence and the bribes that bedeviled his own ministry. So Felix, a good man, a wise man in so many respects, but that dark side trips him up. We're going to come back to that point shortly. He is replaced by another governor by the name of Festus. So from Felix, we get Festus. Festus arrives approximately AD 60, and he unfortunately only lasts in office for 2 years before he dies. But certainly the annals record him as being a terribly honest and good leader. but not too much is known about him. I suppose only being in office for 2 years, not many people have recorded much in that period of time. And within this, the Jewish authorities, after Felix leaves, comes to Festus, and they demand that Paul be taken to Jerusalem, where he will be tried by a Jewish court. Festus, for reasons it's not clearly explained, does not grant that request immediately, but he says when visiting the Jewish leaders in Jerusalem, I'm on my way to Caesarea, we will convene a court there. And so he convenes a proper court, kind of shows that he does things the right way. And in that court, Paul refuses to go to Jerusalem. He knows that there will be an ambush on his life. He knows that at the hands of the Jewish leaders, because they are so biased against him, he would not stand a fair trial. And so Paul does something quite interesting. He plays the long game, and he appeals to Caesar. The one advantage is that if he had met with Caesar and Caesar had said, you, Paul, are innocent, then by effect, the emperor, Caesar, who was Emperor Nero at the time, who doesn't have a good relationship with Christians, we think and suspect that Nero was the emperor in the book of Revelation who is killing so many of Christians and people who are contrary to him. But if Paul had succeeded, then his acquittal would mean not only his release, but would mean that the way, Christianity, would become a recognized religion in the Roman Empire. Now, I've given quite a lot of the backstory. I hope I've said everything. Oh, by the way, Drusilla and Felix had a son who was named Agrippa after Drusilla's dad, and he is killed in the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. So just some interesting history there. How does this relate to us? I'm thinking for the weekend. We might be good business people, good farmers, good husbands, good wives, good whatever. But if we have that dark side where we are willing to take a bribe, it will catch us out. It is not right to give a bribe. And it's one of the reasons why Paul did not give a bribe to Felix simply to gain his release. He knew it was wrong and he refused to do it. So folks, don't do the wrong thing. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.